This video is sponsored by our friends over at Boardwalk. For more than 35 years, Boardwalk has been a great place for gamers in Greenville. Be sure to give them a visit if you're in the area. Now, on to the review. Hello, my name is Vincent Baker, and today I will be reviewing the game Fickle. So, Fickle is an interesting game in which it is a push your luck, semi-bluffing, take that kind of game. It's meant to be fairly quick, with each round, or each game I should say, taking about 20 minutes of time once you learn the rules. This game has some very interesting mechanics, but most people note it for its interesting and beautiful art style. Of course, you can view the front of the box. This art style, this artist does a lot of fairies. Apparently that's their thing, so they love fairies, and this game is all about fairies. So in this game, you will arrange different cards from different houses, and there's tons of different combinations in the box, which gives a lot of variety. I myself am a huge fan of mixing matching as a mechanic for games to give tons of replayability, and so this has a lot of different houses in which you can mix and match them to create thousands of combinations of different ways to play the game, which is pretty exciting. And then on top of that, whenever you have your overall cards, you'll end up passing cards to players in one direction that's determined by the game, which will change throughout the different rounds. And as you arrange the cards and you pass it over to them, they will have to look at the top card and then decide if they want to keep that card or if they want to ditch it to go for the next card. And then once they get down to the bottom, or once they settle on a card, that's the card they're stuck with. So it creates some interesting scenarios in which you can try to trick your opponent, bluff them to get cards that you don't want them to have, which I think is a really cool element to the game. Another cool element to this game is at the end of the entire game, the way you score points isn't just based off of the numbers and tallying up your points like most games. Instead, you want to try to get only one of each type of fairy, because if you have multiples, it'll either give you no points or give you negative points. And that creates an interesting dynamic because you're trying to pass cards over and pick up cards so you can have a wide variety of different fairies and not just collect the same ones, unless you go for a strategy known as shoot for the moon, which is if you collect 5 of a specific fairy, you'll score a ton of points, which will probably win you the game, but it's incredibly hard to do because if you mess it up, you're going to lose the game. So I really love all those mechanics. My biggest problem with Fickle is that a lot of people describe this game as a filler game, which it's because it takes 20 minutes of time, so it's a pretty light game. But the problem is for me to play a filler game, this is a big box, and I think of filler games as like being easy to carry, easy to set up. This game has a lot of different components. There's a lot of different decks to mix and match. There's these different tokens. It's a bit weird and awkward to explain to people that aren't as into games, so it's not a good filler game for families that don't play games that are a little bit more complicated. And it's not that this game is really complicated, but I feel like to someone who's not into games, or maybe they're just into the very casual level games, I feel like this is just complicated enough to where they're not really going to enjoy themselves with it. It's also not something that inspires comedy or laughing or anything, and that's okay because not every game's meant to do that. But it's just this weird combination of things where it's it doesn't really feel that role well for me. I've heard some people say that they would buy this just for the art, but I feel like you could just buy the art itself and not buy the game just for the art. If you're really into fairies, then this, and you're okay with the style of game it is, where there's bluffing and trickery and trying to tally up points, then this game sounds like it's for you. But for me, and for the people I played with, we seem to all be in somewhat of agreement. We're all kind of on the lower end of the rating spectrum for this, and it's not easy for me to say that because the game does look pretty cool. I absolutely love a lot of the mechanics, but I'm going to give this a Y, which is basically I wouldn't necessarily recommend playing this unless you absolutely love the artwork and absolutely love the idea of the mechanics. I like the artwork and I love the mechanics, and I still can't see myself buying this game. That's for me personally. I really like a lot of the ideas of the mechanics. I'd love to see a lot of these mechanics in another game, but I feel like for a game that involves passing and bluffing cards and switching up the order and tallying up the points, I feel like that type of game that could be filler that could be easy to play with families and stuff. I feel like that could be better to be like in a single deck box and not be in this huge box with all these components and all this setup. I feel like it's just in a weird middle ground, but in a way to where it's like too bulky and too much to be casual filler, but it's too little to be something more substantive, where if you want to like pull it out and have a good time with all your friends and play like an engaging game, it doesn't fulfill that purpose either. But that's just my personal take. I'd love to hear yours for Fickle, because I know that Fickle has a lot of love out there, and don't mean any disrespect. I just have a weird sense of taste. Anyways, that's what I got. Let me know what you think of Fickle. Are you interested in purchasing it? Comment down below. Now, as always, be sure to subscribe so you can check out more game reviews. We'd love to have you jump in our Discord as well. And as always, stay awesome.
The video's over, but this was made by Patreons.
We really appreciate what you've done for us, and we'd appreciate it if you'd continue following us further at patreon.com/VindicatedEntertainment.
Yeah, you guys. Be sure to check out some more of our videos, okay? Bye.
That was
Bye.